the box office here, and this box office week was pretty interesting. Okay, we couldn't talk about the last 2 weeks because I wasn't able to. There was, I went somewhere. If you watch the shorts, of course, you know that I wasn't able to make videos now that weren't long form. So, yes, so we missed out on the last week of box office, which is really mocking Blue Beetle, which we'll talk about Blue Beetle. But this movie, Gran Turismo, okay, and people say, "Oh, it's not based off." Oh yeah, it's a game. It's a movie based off Gran Turismo, one of President's most iconic series, and nobody wants to go see it. So basically, this is about, a game of becoming a racer. Not a very interesting movie, okay? And no surprise, no one is going out to go see this at all. This movie is not doing too well. I didn't see really any hype for this movie. They delayed this movie as well. And yeah, Gran Turismo, that is a failure. Next is Barbie. So Barbie is gonna pass Mario globally. It is gonna become the highest grossing movie of 2023. And I thought Mario was never gonna be passed. But again, I also said that Avatar: Way of Water would flop. So don't trust me when it comes to box office predictions, because anything can happen in the box office. Barbie has made $1.34 billion, and also Oppenheimer made $7 million. This movie is almost very close to making over $1 billion in profits for Warner Bros. It's also Warner Bros. Highest grossing movie in history as well. So yes, Barbie is Warner Bros. Highest grossing movie. But we can say positive things about Barbie box office, but Blue Beetle, yes, Blue Beetle. No one's going to see Blue Beetle. No one cares about Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is a box office failure. Okay, no one went to go see this movie in the theaters. And it is a box office failure. Yeah, no one went to go see Blue Beetle. Again, the decline of superhero movies is pretty apparent here. No one wants to see this movie. No one cared. This movie had no hype, no excitement, no buzz around it. Okay. And its highest grossing territory is Mexico with a pathetic $2.7 million. And Brazil with a... And the most ridiculous thing is the Blue Beetle. That Warner Bros. Believes that the hurricane that killed Blue Beetle at the box office. The hurricane. Oh yeah, it's doing so badly internationally too. It's doing horribly internationally. No one's going out to see this movie. No one cares about this movie. No one's going to see this movie internationally. It's doing awful international numbers, like the UK, France numbers, Indonesia, the Middle East. Italy is 99 million. Okay. So this movie is doing awful. Okay, it's doing horrible numbers. Okay, doing horrible numbers. Its highest grossing region is Mexico, and that movie there is still doing horribly. It's doing awful. Okay, and the creators of Blue Beetle are saying if you don't read that it's racist if you don't see this movie. Yeah. I guess the majority of people who don't want to see Blue Beetle or have no hype or interest in the movie are very much racist people, according to the director of Blue Beetle. So yeah, and the actors involved. So Blue Beetle deserves to flop every once in a while, every way. It is probably not a good movie at all. Next is Oppenheimer. Could this movie make $1 billion? This movie is having pretty good international rigs. Of course, this movie has done really well in the UK, Germany, France, Australia, Spain, Brazil. It has done really well internationally. It's one of the highest grossing movies internationally of the year. They released it literally everywhere at this point, including China as well this week. They're releasing this movie in China. And I wonder if this will flip I wonder how much money it'll make there. But yeah. This movie has released everywhere except for Japan for obvious reasons. But this movie is still going to make a huge chunk of money for Universal and Christopher Nolan as well. Next is totals. This movie is still a box office failure. This movie still had, but this movie I think is gonna make money at the very end. Okay, it's doing pretty well domestic rigs. It is gonna continue launching in international markets and continue doing well continue having rigs there and many international markets. This movie is gonna make another 50 million globally to break even. This movie is basically, scratching on its back on the skin of its teeth to profitability. The movie will definitely make $100 million domestically, but the movie definitely needs to make more internationally for it to catch up as well. Or else you have another animated failure because this movie did well domestically, but no one outside of America went to go see the movie. So, next is Strays. Okay, no one went to go see this movie. No surprise. I did not see any promotion for this movie whatsoever, and yeah, this movie kept getting delayed, and yeah, it's a non-franchise movie as well. Again, it doesn't really matter anymore because last month we had Sound of Freedom and Oppenheimer make so much money. So the non-franchise movie is not an excuse anymore. They don't really promote these movies all too much, and people are not really interested in them anymore either. People have to be interested to see a movie. Okay, there was no hype around Strays. Okay, as well. Next is the Meg 2. The Meg 2 has broken even at the box office, which will make Rotten Tomatoes small and Graves, small. Like, why is the Meg gonna make money, but not our masterpieces we push out? Okay, that we try to push in people's faces. Okay, and it's funny they said, oh, only well-reviewed movies make a profit at the box office. The Meg 2 made $353 million globally. The movie has made a huge chunk of money in China, $100 million. So this movie it's doing basically the same as the first movie in China. This movie is basically doing better in many international markets, but it's doing worse in America. So I think this movie is going to end up making around $80 million or so, which is a very reasonable number. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a Meg 3, so you can milk the Meg to death. Next is Retribution. Again, I'm not tracking a movie like this. It's another Liam Neeson thriller movie. We don't already have a billion of those already, and no one went to go see it, obviously. Next is The Hill, made by Briarcliff Entertainment. No one's going to see this movie either. Never heard of either of those movies before. Next is Talk to Me, which has become a horror sensation. Actually, the movie has made $52 million. So the movie has made more money than I thought it did. It only was the domestic box office. We made out the $1 million it made. So this movie made a decent chunk of money for A24. So kudos to A24 for making a movie that made money. Mission Impossible. I think this movie is kind of like a write-off movie. Like, this movie was made by the pandemic over and over and over again. So this movie, I think they're really hoping that the next Mission Impossible movie makes more money. But Mission Impossible, people are sick of Mission Impossible. People are sick of the same old, okay? People can only take too much of a franchise, okay? Tom Cruise, okay? It'd be different if he made something new. People like, oh my god, this movie's so great. But Tom Cruise wants to continue making these Mission Impossible movies as well. Next is Jurassic Park is the next one. Haunted Mansion, no one went to go see this movie. Essentially, this movie is basically dead in the theaters. Next, yeah, they re-released Jurassic Park in the theaters. Okay? They re-released Jurassic Park in the theaters. Okay? They re-released Jurassic Park in the theaters. It did pretty well, actually. Making $414 million domestically. Yeah. And, yeah. Next is The Sound of Freedom, which had its first international sales in. Yes. The movie made $1 million in Australia and $200,000 in New Zealand. So it is starting to release in international markets. We'll wait to see how Sound of Freedom continues to do internationally. Angola, no one went to go see this movie, essentially. And it's with this old lady, essentially, and no one went to go see it. So, yeah. Yeah. And we have the numbers for the movies in. So Elemental, we have Elemental's updated box office numbers for international sales. The movie is still at negative 32 million, which means Elemental is likely a loss at this point. So yes, I wouldn't consider Elemental a box office failure. Yeah, even though it lost $42 million because of its massive budget, it's gonna do well on Disney Plus. It's gonna do well on physical merchandise. Is gonna sell for this movie. You know, and I think that will cross. It's doing really well internationally, so it'll probably do well in international numbers as well. Do really well on Disney Plus. So yeah, Elemental is a loss. Same thing with something like No Hard Feelings. I wouldn't consider that a box office failure because that would be a loss as well. Mutant Mayhem, I think, is gonna eventually make money as well. I still stand by that, obviously, but the movie is slowing down massively. No, it's not slowing down. It's having pretty decent ratings. Okay, Demeter flopped, Blue Beetle flopped, Strays flopped, and Gran Turismo are all failures. So Sony has one loss. Demeter flopped, Blue Beetle flopped, and Strays all flopped. So those are four more box office failures for the year of 2023 as well. The Meg 2 crossing the profitability the margin. Talk to Me making money at the box office. And this summer of the box office has been pretty mixed. As I think Boogeyman is another one. I don't know if Boogeyman will make money. The Book Club and like something like Fast X could probably make back its money through foreign streaming distribution and foreign streaming sales, foreign digital sales for this movie. And yeah. So yeah, Elemental is a loss at the box office. This movie is not going to make money at the box office, but it's going to be a movie that will make money through other means. So Disney finally had a movie that isn't a complete failure. You can also say something about Emma and the Wasp Quantumania as well. But yeah, Elemental, you know, so yeah. I think Elemental is at $42 million loss. Not 42 million, similar to Elemental. So yeah, Elemental will probably still make more money throughout the weeks as well. Considering also that Pixar will likely push Elemental during Labor Day, or to make a couple $1,000,000 more domestically. It'll probably make another 10 to 20 million, 10 to $20 million internationally. I think Elemental will probably end up being at a loss around 10 million in the feeders. But of course, Elemental will probably have a successful on Disney Plus, success on streaming and, digital platforms, physical media, and of course, merchandise for Elemental will probably do really well, which Disney loves to merchandise the movies to death. So yeah, as about this video here, goodbye.